Blessings and namaste, everyone. I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. Once again, I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you my spiritual and astrological insights and possibilities for the month of March 2020. First, let's begin by revisiting that we are still in a retrograde phase. Mercury will remain retrograde until March 9th, and this Mercury retrograde is in the sign of Pisces. Remember, Mercury retrogrades are opportunities. All astrological phenomena is an opportunity dependent upon the planet, the sign, where it's located in our charts, and when we can address the specific location, we get a better understanding as to where the opportunity, where the blessing may lie. And when I share with you this information, remember, it's general information. Unless we're looking specifically at a chart, we can't really see exactly where the phenomenons are taking place, so we can address things more personally. That's why we offer our services to provide personal consultation, so we can address specifically what is happening astrologically in our charts. And as I mentioned in our last video, the Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces, it's an opportunity to go within much more deeply than with another retrograde experience, because it's in the sign of Pisces. Pisces represents the subconscious mind, that which operates behind the scenes. That sign of Pisces also connects with deep-seated fears, those beliefs and belief systems that sometimes run in the background that we're not always aware as how they influence all it is that we are experiencing. So this retrograde is an opportunity to reflect on all of that, become more aware of what's going on behind the scenes. Where are there fear-based beliefs that need to be released? This Mercury retrograde is an auspicious opportunity to release those deep-seated fear-based beliefs, deep-seated emotions, and to really recognize, reflect, and allow ourselves the courage to really recognize and reflect what might be going on behind the scenes, not only within ourselves, but also too with what might be operating behind the scenes in the outer world that creates mass fear, and certainly does interfere with our well-being. I always suggest, whenever we desire to see anything with clarity, we need to remove ourselves, detach ourselves from the experience, observe all from a place of love, and allow Spirit to guide you with its loving clarity. Now, as I said, Mercury is retrograde until March 9th, and keep in mind that not until Mercury moves past the shadow point, what we refer to as the shadow point, which is the place where it began its retrograde phase along the zodiac, and that will be on March 29th. That's when we are fully out of the influences of the retrograde. It does go direct on March 9th. Proceed with caution. And just be aware, not until March 29th are we fully clear of the retrograde influences. Now, our next full moon is on March 9th. Now, there's a couple of significant alignments that are taking place on the 8th and 9th as well, in addition to the full moon. On March 8th at 8:22 a.m., and whenever I offer or address specific times, they are Eastern time, and actually on March 8th we will be going back to daylight savings time. So it's on March 8th at 8:22 a.m., which is Eastern daylight time. The sun aligns and conjoins. It's a conjunction, which means two heavenly bodies are at the exact same position in the heavens, just as on a new moon when the sun and moon come together. We have on March 8th the Sun and Neptune coming together in the sign of Pisces, but also too on March 8th, later on in the day at 3:38 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we have Uranus and Venus coming together in the sign of Taurus. One of the beneficial opportunities in these alignments is that Venus certainly is the planet of beauty, the planet of artistic abilities in whatever form that we demonstrate. It's also high levels of creativity. Pisces being the ruler of Neptune, and we have Neptune factored in here as well. Neptune in an astrological level is referred to the higher octave of Venus. Venus deals with, as I said, beauty, art, music, creativity. The sign Neptune represents the great artists, the great masters, as those which we had experienced during the times of the Renaissance. You see, there's a little bit of a difference there, but every one of us has the opportunity to really connect on a creative level with various degrees of greatness. And I always emphasize creativity is not limited to art and music. Creativity is multifaceted. These energies do offer the opportunities, or do surge creative energies. It fortifies, it stimulates the imagination. Neptune stimulates the imagination. Wherever the sun touches, whatever planet sign the sun touches, astrologically, it fuels that energy. Look at the tremendous amount of fuel that the sun generates. The sun coming together with Neptune in the sign of Pisces fuels tremendous amount of creativity. It fires, it brings so much creative energy to the imagination. And when we factor in Uranus with all of this, that's abstract creativity. You see, creativity, as I said, is multifaceted, and whenever we factor in the element of Uranus, it brings us the opportunity to think abstractly, think outside the box. One of the examples I always like to use is those of us who are familiar with Picasso's career. He wasn't always an abstract artist. In his early years, he was somewhat conventional, more so than in his later years. And then there was a shift that took place where he progressed towards abstract creativity. And I always say that at that time, Uranus probably had a very strong influence in shifting the energy and directing him down another direction. So as I said, whenever Uranus comes into play, it awakens us. It brings us greater imagination, but more so on an abstract level, because it offers us the opportunity to think outside the box. And being in the sign of Taurus, it's also an opportunity to review things also on a financial level. And if you have some financial concerns that you would like to address as well, so that you might be offered alternative understandings to all of that, this is a great time to receive that information, especially as we approach the next full moon, which is on March 9th. Now, the full moon on March 9th is in the sign of Virgo. The moon is in Virgo, the sun is in Pisces. Now that Sun-Neptune alignment still is very much in play at the time of the full moon. Now the Virgo-Pisces axis represents fear and trust. The Virgo element many times will bring to the surface great fear that connects with that Pisces element. Whenever we address one sign, we always factor in the opposite sign as well. For example, if you're born under the sign of Taurus, the opposite sign of Taurus is Scorpio. Yes, you will find yourself at times demonstrating that Taurian energy, but many times the individual will connect with the potentials of the opposite sign, which for Taurus is Scorpio. So you see, this is another example how astrology is multifaceted, and we're not necessarily just one sun sign. And what I'm addressing here specifically is the fear, faith, trust axis. The time of the full moon, we may find that in the outside world there is yet another tremendous surge of fear. And right now, many are concerned about health and well-being, specifically with information regarding certain viruses that have been taking place in the outside world. Whenever we offer the alternative understanding, we never say to not be aware of whatever it is that you might need to do for yourself on a personal level. Just allow yourself to be aware and not be driven by fear. That Virgo Pisces element at the time of the full moon will bring to the surface much fear in the outside world, so that we have to be very careful to detach ourselves from that fear, and so that we can receive clarity and a higher understanding regarding what may be unfolding in the outside world. We need to be detached and remove ourselves from that place of fear. When we are peaceful, when we are clear in our being and grounded with the energies of the earth, that's when we receive the clarity. The fear only convolutes the thinking, so we have to be very careful as we progress through these next few weeks that we don't allow ourselves to be consumed by much fear that will be projected in the outside world, specifically regarding something that might interfere with our health and well-being. Because certainly we are all very concerned and have a desire to maintain optimum health and well-being. This information is certainly not here to tell you how to do that. That is something that's very personal, and to recognize what resonates with you. And I suggest do not allow fear to interfere with your clarity and any decisions that you need to establish regarding your own personal well-being, or anything else for that matter, because we may see a tremendous surge of this fear being projected through the media, as well as misinformation. Remember, as I said many times, Neptune does represent misinformation. Neptune at times can be very nebulous. Neptune can create much confusion, and Neptune will also later on bring clarity. You see, whenever we contend with Neptune, we need to not allow ourselves to observe things with our human hindered eyes. We suggest to go within, because with Neptune, when we go within, that's where we receive the clarity, because Neptune connects with the spirit realm, the psychic faculties. There may also be, at the time of the full moon, a surge of erratic psychic energy taking place, because it could also be very much a time to release discordant energies. So we need to be that much more aware to keep ourselves energetically clear, peaceful, and grounded. And I've offered reading material over the course of these years on many occasions, offering insights and suggestions with techniques on how to actually keep yourself clear and grounded. I don't need to reiterate that right now, but I do suggest, as always, recognizing what resonates with you on a personal level, especially regarding your own health, well-being, and spiritual growth and evolution. I will share with you my insights, and I always say, if what I share with you resonates with you, that is wonderful, and if it does not reverberate with you, that is also magnificent. We have our next, as we approach our next new moon, before the next new moon, we have the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. And this year, spring begins on March 19th at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This time of year, I always suggest that it is beneficial to really embark upon spring cleaning before spring begins, before the vernal equinox, because you see, whenever we begin a new cycle of experience, we always suggest commencing that experience with a clean slate. Also, since the sun is in the sign of Pisces, which is the sign that is right before Aries, because it represents going deep within, it is an auspicious opportunity to really engage upon the spring cleaning, deep cleaning in the home and within the selves before the vernal equinox. So this video, I'm creating this video at the end of February, so you still have quite a few weeks before spring begins. If you haven't addressed spring cleaning, deep cleaning in the home, now is the time to really embrace that. And as I said, the vernal equinox, spring begins on March 19th at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which interestingly, it's also right before the Balsamic Moon phase begins. As I said, the Balsamic Moon phase, that's the time of the dark moon. That's the auspicious opportunity to prepare for the next lunar cycle. The Balsamic Moon begins actually about 3 hours after the vernal equinox on March 20th at 2:57 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That is the opportunity to prepare for the next lunar cycle new moon, which will be on March 24th at 5:29 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that new moon is in the sign of Aries. Aries is the start of the zodiac. Aries is the beginning point of the astrological experience. Aries is also the sign which connects with the leader, the entrepreneur. If you find yourself having desire to really experience leadership experiences, entrepreneurial experiences, the Aries new moon is an auspicious opportunity to set that energy in motion. Also, right after the vernal equinox on March 20th, on March 19th, on March 21st, Saturn, the one who is our great teacher, will progress into the sign of Aquarius. Saturn remains in the sign for about 2 years. It's dependent upon its retrograde phase. It might be a little bit longer than that, but generally it's for about 2 years. Saturn has been in Capricorn for the last 2 years. It will be progressing into Aquarius on March 21st. It will dip back into Capricorn and will be fully in the sign of Aquarius by the end of this year. You see, Saturn, I found that Saturn sometimes gets a bad rap. Saturn is the great teacher, but Saturn will also bring us rewards for all that we have set in motion because it's the planet of karma. Saturn, because it's misunderstood, Saturn creates the discipline and the determination necessary for us to achieve all it is that we desire. And when we misinterpret the experience and we misunderstand really what is being presented to us, we feel oppressed. We feel as though there are elements working against us. And it may not necessarily feel as though we are progressing towards what we desire. However, Saturn is offering the opportunity to strengthen, for one, the power of the mind. Saturn brings great discipline and determination so that we can achieve what we desire. And when we have allowed ourselves to really establish upon those dedicated efforts, because Saturn is the planet of karma, it will bring us the rewards for all that we have set in motion. I'm giving you a very simple explanation, but also an alternative understanding of really what Saturn is all about. And Saturn moving into the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of the New Age, the age of Aquarius, it is strengthening our understanding of humanitarianism, the experience of brotherhood, the understanding, the knowing that we are all one. And for many, 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 many years, we are being offered these opportunities to really recognize that we are all one, that we are progressing towards a time of oneness, brotherhood, peace, balance. Saturn moving into the sign of Aquarius is strengthening that understanding of oneness. So just allow yourself to just really embrace this understanding, this knowing, so that we can create harmony, peace, and humanitarianism in the outside world. And as I said, the new moon is on March 24th at 5:29 a.m. I know I am digressing and going off on a tangent with some things, but sometimes whenever we speak about things astrologically and metaphysically, sometimes that happens. All of this is ruled by the planet Uranus, which sometimes does bring chaos to experiences, but always out of chaos, we receive great clarity. And much of what I'm speaking of right now does offer us the opportunity to receive great clarity, especially at the time of the new moon, at the time of the full moon, provided that we do not allow ourselves to be consumed by fear and confusion that is taking place in the outside world. We are at another time where great deep-seated fear is being released from within ourselves, as well as from the collective consciousness of humanity. Remember, whatever manifests in the outside world is a result of the collective of thoughts. Whatever we experience in our lives on our personal level really is just a reflection of what's going on within ourselves. Whatever we observe in the outside world is a reflection of what is germinating in the collective consciousness of humanity. And when we choose to experience peace in the outside world, we are given the opportunity to create peace from within ourselves first and foremost. And then the universe just reflects back whatever it is that is generating from deep within ourselves. We are certainly progressing through some unprecedented times. I would also like to add that our March 24th new moon is an eclipse trigger point. It's triggering the energies of the December 26th new moon solar eclipse, and will also stimulate the energy of our next new moon solar eclipse, which will take place on June 21st, coinciding with the summer solstice. Be aware of whatever came to form, whatever energy was brought to the surface at the time of the December 26th new moon. This is an opportunity to move forward along with those experiences, and this is also a time to prepare us for whatever might be coming together for us at the time of the June 21st new moon solar eclipse, which is taking place, that will coincide, with the summer solstice. Our next eclipse season is in June and July, which we will actually have 3 eclipses in a row. On June 5th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse. On June 21st, we have a new moon solar eclipse. And the more auspicious, more profound eclipse will be the one which coincides with the birthday of the United States on July 4th, 2020. So this series of eclipses are offering yet another, or rather offering us another insight as to how profound all that is happening in the United States really is in terms of what is being established and what is being created within our country. So, once again, I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. I thank you for offering me this opportunity to share with you, to briefly share with you some of these insights. Sometimes this information can be very overwhelming, sometimes can be very confusing. I'm dedicated to keeping it as simple as I possibly can in hopes to inspire you on your spiritual journey. I will be returning to the mystical moon. My first day at the office is on April 22nd, and I believe my schedule runs through until May 5th or 6th. Lori has the dates at the centers. My schedule, as I said, is already filling up. So if you would like to dedicate some time, schedule some time for me to address some of these matters for you on a personal level, certainly contact the Mystical Moon. And as always, I very much look forward to meeting with everyone in person. Once again, I thank you for allowing me to share with you some of these insights from a very brief level. Stay in the light and always in a place of love. Namaste and many blessings, everyone.